Apple just had their One More Thing event in which they showed us this new Apple Silicon and which computers, yes, computers, more than one, are going to be the first ones to come out with this processor. In this video, I'm going to tell you what I thought about the entire event. I'm also going to give you as much information as I can regarding the specs because it honestly wasn't much. And I'm going to tell you how much each one of these computers cost. Let's get to it. Let's start talking about the processor. The processor that is going to be used, or the first processor that Apple is showing in their Apple Silicon brand, is going to be called the M1. Yes, there was another chip called the M1, but apparently Apple is not going to use that anymore because they just gave it to the Apple Silicon. Anyways, this processor is what it has what Apple calls the system on a chip. To give you a quick rundown of what this system on a chip entails, it's just basically Apple is putting as much as they can into the actual chip. So the processor, RAM, security chips, etc. Everything that can be removed from the motherboard and just put it inside the chip, they've done that. That does two things. One is consume less battery because the information doesn't have to travel through the motherboard from one place to another. And the second one, it's obviously a lot faster since it doesn't have to travel from one place to another. Yes, these commands that you give the computer do travel an actual distance. In the case of, for example, you wanting to see a video on YouTube, it shows you, you send the command to the computer through the mouse or whatever. This goes from the processor to the RAM to the whatever, etc. You get the gist. Anyways, this processor is the first processor with a 5 nanometer process, or architecture as they call it. It's going to be the first, I believe, I'm pretty sure that it's the first computer processor that uses a 5 nanometer process. It's not the first overall because obviously they used it on both the iPad Air and they used it on the iPhone, but they're basically able to shrink down the distance between those transistors in order to make them obviously more efficient. What does this mean? This means that they put 16 billion transistors inside that M1 chip. That is a huge number, I know, and I know that it's going to be complicated to explain what this means, but I'm going to try to explain it to you in how much faster it's going to be because Apple did not give us a lot of details. Before I do that, I am going to tell you how many cores it has because I know it's very important for people to know how many cores a processor has. You know that there's been dual core, quad core. Well, this one is going to have 8 cores, but it's going to be divided between 4 high efficiency cores and 4 high performance cores. The high performance are the ones that when you're editing in Final Cut, doing editing in Photoshop, etc., those are going to be the ones that are first going to be used. And when you're just browsing the web, it's going to be the efficiency cores, so you get as much battery as you can out of it. In use, it means that the CPU is going to be able to work 2 times faster at its highest performance. 2 times faster than what is the question that I'm going to cover in the end. And it's going to only use 25% of the energy used previously. By what? Once again, I'm going to leave that for the end. The other thing is that it's going to use only, it's going to give you 3 times the performance per watt. So this is actually very good. Obviously, it remains to see compared to what, because Again, I'm going to leave that for the end, but the fact that they can tell you that they can give you 3 times more performance than any processor out there per watt is very impressive, because that means you're going to get that much savings battery life wise in the case of laptops. Graphics wise, they tell you that it's going to be twice as fast as the integrated graphics that whichever processor they used. It's not going to be comparing to a dedicated graphics card, because I'm pretty sure that if they did that comparison, it wouldn't be that much. I don't think it wouldn't be equal, but that's what they're telling us. Again, I'm trying to give you as much information as I can. At the end, I'm going to discuss everything. The first computer that came out is the MacBook Air. The MacBook Air will have up to 15 hours of web use, or you browsing the web, and up to 18 hours of video playback. It's very important that it doesn't specify if video playback is watching YouTube, because I think that would be web browsing. But again, it's Apple, so they don't specify. What they do tell you is that it's going to be up to 6 hours more than what you were getting with the previous iPad Air, MacBook Air model. So that's actually, it's starting to show that it's very good. And one of the reasons why they were able to do that, no fans on the MacBook Air. This is the first Apple laptop that doesn't have any fans, and due to that, and obviously the processor, it's why they're able to give you up to 6 hours more battery life in it. The MacBook Air will cost $999. It stays at the same price that it starts, even when it was an Intel-based MacBook Air. And for students, you get it at $100 off, so $899. So considering that when Apple, they announce new things, they usually hike up the price, not bad. Not bad. Good on you, Apple. Good on you. The next computer that they showed is a desktop, although if you really think about it, you unplug this thing. You take the cable with you and you plug it into whichever TV of the place that you go to. It becomes the best laptop ever, except for the fact that you're going to have to carry the mouse and keyboard around, and you have to buy it separately, because they didn't announce it here, so I'm guessing it's the same process as the other Mac Minis, but this thing doesn't come. The Mac Mini doesn't come with a keyboard and a mouse, and you know the prices for Apple mice and keyboards, right? Yeesh. Anyways, the Mac Mini will only have 2 Thunderbolt connections instead of the usual 4 that the previous model had. I'm going to give you my opinion as to why I think that is, but I'm going to leave that towards the end. They indicate that it's going to have 3 times faster processor performance compared to the previous model of the Mac Mini. So there we're starting to have an idea which processor they're comparing it to, and up to 6 times faster graphics. Remember, the Mac Mini doesn't come with a dedicated graphics card, so it's the same graphics card or the integrated graphics that the Intel processors come with. This Mac Mini is gonna cost $699. That's $100 off the previous $799 price tag. That's obviously for the base iMac Mini. Later on at the end, I'm going to tell you what upgrades you can do about it, all right? But I'm going to leave that for the end. The last one that they showed, and the one that surprised me the most, is the MacBook Pro, the 13-inch MacBook Pro. When they said MacBook Pro, I skipped a heartbeat, because I was like, oh no, they're going to do it. They're going to replace the 16-inch. And when they said 13-inch, I was like, oh, thank God. Because if they would have replaced the 16-inch MacBook Pro after just upgrading the graphics card recently, and it's a hard graphics card to be faster than or be better than. So it scared the ever-loving crap out of me. Let's just leave it at that. Let's continue. The performance is going to be up to 2.8 times faster than the previous version of the MacBook Pro in its basic configuration, and up to 5 times faster in graphics. Again, MacBook Pro 13-inch never had a dedicated graphics card, so it's comparing it to the Intel-based or the integrated graphics card that Intel provides in their CPUs. It promises up to 17 hours of web browsing and up to 20 hours of video playback. That's 10 more hours than the previous model was able to give. And that's the part that was impressive to me. That really was impressive. That you can give people 10 more hours with a computer that has fans, because this MacBook Pro still has fans. So, and they did it for the performance, as you can obviously see, because it's the same chip that the MacBook Air uses, but since you give it a fan, it stays cool longer and it's able to give you more power. But still, 10 more hours in the MacBook Pro. Again, good on you, Apple. Good on you. Okay, now I'm going to give you my final verdict. First, I'm going to talk about the cameras. In the case of the laptops, obviously, because the Mac Mini doesn't have any. They still left you with the same crappy camera, 720p, and the only thing I'm going to say about this, Apple, it's 2020. You updated the iMac to 1080p. What's the issue with the laptops? You can't tell me that you're going to have to make them thicker, the screen thicker. You don't need that. I mean, you can put the same sensor as in your iPhone cameras. We don't need the stabilization or anything like that. And I don't think it's going to take up that much space. So, Apple, come on. Let's get to it. Seriously. Anyway, good things. Finally, Wi-Fi 6 coming to the laptops. These are going to be the first laptops with Wi-Fi 6. It's about freaking time. I know that most of you are not going to use Wi-Fi 6 unless you have the internet speeds that go up to the Wi-Fi 6. But in my case, for example, I'm constantly transferring data from the laptop to my iPad and vice versa. So Wi-Fi 6 does do that a lot faster. And I mean a lot faster. You're finally going to be able to run iPhone and iPad apps on them. I can't wait to play Call of Duty Mobile in my Mac. That's obviously if Activision allows it. Please, please. I would love to play it on the laptop to see how it works. Yeah, I'm one of those people that play out on the iPad, and I use my PlayStation controller. I actually have a dedicated PlayStation controller just for the iPad. And since all Apple accessories are white, the controller is the white one, so I know the difference between my other controllers and the PlayStation controller. But anyway, I'm deviating from the subject here. Regarding upgrades and the things that you can give and take away, you can get the computers with either 8 gigabytes of RAM or 16 gigabytes of RAM. They don't call it RAM because now it's integrated into the chip, but it's the RAM. We all know it's the RAM. And you can bump it up to 2 terabytes of solid state drive. And that's really good. Up to 2 terabytes. That means that we might get a 1 terabyte iPhone really soon. Maybe even next year, who knows? It's Apple. They might not do anything at all. Anyway, from the things that they give and take away, I don't understand the move of taking away the 4 Thunderbolt ports for the Mac Mini. My guess, and it's been the guess of a lot of other people that talk tech, is that they might be having a problem with the Apple Silicon processors, that it only is able to control up to 2 Thunderbolt ports at a time. And that might be a problem. Maybe if you give me 2 Thunderbolt and 2 USB-C ports, then I might be able to deal with it. But because, believe it or not, even though it has the same input, USB-C and Thunderbolt are completely different things. So we'll see what they do. I don't know if that's the reason. Obviously, I'm speculating, but it's weird that even though the Mac Mini has the space, why take away the 2 additional Thunderbolt ports that it had? Only they know. And maybe only us tech people actually care. Anyways, overall, my opinion regarding the event, it wasn't necessary. I don't remember if when Apple switched from Intel to PowerPC to Intel, if they made a presentation just to show off the new computers. It was not necessary. It's something that you could have done as a web update, but they did it, and it is what it is. For those of you who care and have Mac OS Big Sur will be available on this Thursday, November 12th. So they didn't say that on the presentation. I actually had to go look for it, just like I had to go look for the comparisons in processor on the website. And they're comparing it to an Intel i7, but they don't specify which processor it was. So leave it to your imagination. Use whichever i7 processor you want, because they didn't specify which one it was. And honestly, I'll leave it at that. I want to use them. I want to see how fast they really are, if there's a significant difference for how that fast they work. I don't think there will be, but I could be wrong. It could be a significant difference. I think that most of the difference is specs, that you're going to be able to play iPhone and iPad games or use iPhone and iPad apps. That's the biggest gimmick for these computers. I even installed a few days ago Windows 10 on my laptop, and you're not going to be able to do that anymore unless you use Parallels, which is creating a virtual computer, not actually creating separating your hard disk for it to use Windows, and it uses all the power that your computer has. So it's going to be a virtual machine, so I don't know how it's going to work there. I'm sure it's not going to be the same, but we'll have to see. Regarding the presentation, obviously they keep showing off how good they are in transitions and how well they can do this virtual video event thing, and it's not necessary anymore, Apple. Seriously. But we're sure we're going to get a next one. It's probably going to be in March. AirTags, AirPods Studio, none of that was shown this year, even though they said it was. I don't know if there are problems with it. I did hear that with the AirPods Pro, or AirPods Pro, the AirPods Studio, apparently they're having manufacturing issues. They haven't said anything about AirTags. Not that there's an issue or anything like that. They just don't want to show it off. So I'll leave it at that. You guys get to your own conclusions, okay? If you like this video, remember to press the like button right below me. Also, consider subscribing to our social media platforms. We are available in Instagram, Twitter, and obviously YouTube at JR Abrams Tech, so you can stay up to date with the latest news or rumors about tech. Later, guys.